I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like to invite Assistant Amin Mohammed Bakar from the Willingboro Muslim Education Circle to lead us in prayer.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. Good evening, Madam Clerk, the Township Manager. Let us pray. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta alayhim. Ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Amen. Alhamdulillah, we say all praise and thanks is due to God Almighty, Lord of the world. We thank you for the blessing you have bestowed upon us and the guidance you provide. Rabbana atina min ladunka rahmah. O Lord, grant us wisdom and understanding and guide us towards the path of peace and justice. O Almighty God, we ask you for your guidance in the decision we made here today. Grant us the strength to serve with honesty, fairness, and integrity. Almighty God, guide our leaders, our communities, and all who serve here, that we may work together to build a just and harmonious Willingboro. We pray for all those who are sick, those who are in difficulties, and all those who have passed away. May you grant them peace. You alone we worship, and you alone we ask for help. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Assistant Imam Bakar. We appreciate you coming to our meeting this evening, and Ramadan Mubarak to our Muslim community. Madam Clerk?
The compliance statement for this evening. Notice was provided in compliance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975 to the Burlington County Times, Trenton Times, and Philadelphia Inquirer, stating the date, time, place, and the agenda to the extent it was known. Additionally, notice was filed in the office of the Township Clerk.
All right. Thank you, Madam Clerk. And moving right along with our meeting, we will go into our municipal updates from our manager, Mr. Harris.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and members of the public. We have quite a bit to present to you this evening, so I will get right into a summary of activities that have been happening in Willingboro over the last couple of weeks. Our revenue as of February 28th was totaling $16,884,386.82. We made an allotment of $3,278,118 to the Willingboro Board of Education, along with a payment of $2,312,565 to Burlington County for first quarter county taxes. We have completed our 2024 annual financial statement. Some of the highlights: our tax collection rate was 96.97%, which was an increase of 0.31% over last year. Our fund balance increased by 8% in 2024 to $18,872,668.12. Our revenue collection, we received or achieved a 105.39% collection of our anticipated revenue, while our expenditures was only 96.01% of the appropriations expended. So we are in the final stages of preparing our 2025 municipal budget, which will be presented to the governing body for your consideration and adjustments on April the 1st. Our inspections department completed 796 inspections, issued 405 violations, 40 summonses and collected $94,634.37 in revenue. Some of the key updates are they are continuing to aggressively enforce commercial parking vehicles in residential areas, and we are researching regulatory measures for convenience stores and smoke shops here in Willingboro, as well as dealing with an increased complaints regarding Airbnb rentals. There are 4 properties that are listed online and that have been cited by our inspections department. And also, we have one business, AFC Urgent Care, that opened on US 130 without proper approvals. And the property owner is now working to get the necessary approvals and permit to rectify that situation. In our Department of Public Works, spring is here. Beautification efforts are underway. Planted flowers in the parkways and various locations around the township will begin to happen. Trash and litter abatement is a continuous process. During the month we collected, or during the last couple of weeks, we collected 123 bags of trash and from the streets and the roads, and 15 bags from our parks. DPW has been working on infrastructure repairs. Pothole repairs are ongoing. They did a catch basin repair at 9 Derby Court. There was an uprooted tree that was removed out of Broido Park, and they're continuing to clean up leaves and debris and doing fence trimming along Paget and Pond Lane and Barnwell Lane in the drainage area. And like I said earlier, the planter cleanup is underway in preparation for our spring plantings. Our fire and EMS have been very busy. They have responded to 133 calls in the month of February. Our EMS squad has responded to 395 calls. On March 9th, there was a fire incident where one of our firefighters received or sustained minor injuries while battling a fire at 16 Raleigh Place, and that fire is under investigation by the county and state fire marshals. And just so everyone knows, registration for the 4th Annual Citizens Fire Academy opened on yesterday, March the 17th. Is that yesterday? Yes. And the classes will commence on April the 23rd and run for 8 consecutive Wednesdays at the firehouse. So if anyone is interested in participating in the most excellent program, I would encourage you to go to register on the fireman's website. And our police department, our February 2025 activity, there was a total of 3,680 calls for service. Our traffic and patrol division handled 50 accidents. They completed 856 traffic stops. They issued 345 summonses, impounded 13 vehicles, and made 35 arrests. So we thank the police for all the hard work they do, especially in our traffic and patrol division. Joint Civil Response Team Willingboro officers participated in quarterly training at the Emergency Services Training Center in West Hampton. This is a joint commission of a few municipalities who respond to civil unrest incidences, riots, large events like parades and things like that. So this is what the civil response team does. And we have committed 5 officers who participate in that program collectively with other departments here in Burlington County. And finally, for our police, our efforts are underway to compile update business contact information for emergency purposes related to our business emergency contact list. Recreation. I just want to give a special thanks to the Twin Hill PTA for their $100 donation towards the township's basketball program. And those monies will be wonderfully put to use for our recreational purposes. And just to highlight a couple of projects that are current and upcoming, our sidewalk improvement program has begun with the clearing of the weather. I hope the residents observe that the sidewalks have begun to be repaired and replaced in large segments along Veterans Parkway and JFK Boulevard outside of the Kennedy Center. Earl Asphalt will begin to work on phase 2 of our road resurfacing project, which I believe contains 15 additional streets that we will be paving curb to curb. And we are finalizing plans for our pickleball courts and Jake's Place at Mill Creek Park. So those are just some of the highlights, my highlights for you. I would like at this time to bring forth Ms. Jackson, if she will share with some of the other events that are going on here in Willingboro.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, members of council, and all assembled. So we just have a few items that we want to bring to your attention. On Thursday, March 20th, will be our Neighborhood Watch meeting at the Reaper Foster Senior Center. That's at 6:30 p.m. And as we approach the Easter season, our annual egg extravaganza will be held on Saturday, April 5th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Kennedy Center. Children between the ages of 7 and 12 are welcome. And then the following Saturday, April 12th, the younger children are invited to the Easter Egg Hunt-tastic, will be held from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. And this is open for ages 3 to 6. All children must be accompanied by an adult. On April 26th, we will host Earth Day, and this year's event will encompass the opening of the community garden from 10 a.m. until noon. That's a collaboration with Go Grow, as well as nature walks and photography sessions at Crystal Lake. And then the month will conclude with our annual Phenomenal Women Awards event on Sunday, April 27th at 3 p.m. and more details regarding that coming. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. At this time, I would like to call to the podium Mr. Russell Chipola, who is our township engineer, to give us just a briefing of some of the things that he's been working on.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, members of council, and solicitor. I'll go through a bunch of things, but they're pretty well short. On March 5th, we received 5 bids for the reconstruction of Buckingham Drive as part of our ongoing road program. The low bidder for the project was Earl Construction at a cost of $266,013. And we have a recommendation of award from our consultant CME Engineering, which was forwarded to Mr. Harris for execution. I'm waiting on 2 prices from Think Pavers to do some repairs to the potential unevenness of our stamped concrete and our logo in front of the municipal building entrance at the bottom of the steps. We're going to look at either raising the stamped concrete portion or potentially replacing the logo, the large square logo. And we're also going to get a price for a raised asphalt crosswalk from sidewalk to sidewalk right in front of the municipal building on MLK Boulevard. We issued a notice to proceed effective March 10th for the reconstruction of Marshall Lane roadway. It's part of our NJDOT fiscal year 2024 road funding program. I was notified by Pannoni Associates that they will start work on Monday, March 24th, and this project will consist of the Marshall Lane complete length between MLK and Millbrook Drive. We have also as Mr. Harris was saying, an ongoing project for concrete sidewalk reconstruction I talked with Pannoni's project manager, Frank Harris, just a little while ago, and he says it's going to be about 4 to 5 more weeks for the total project completion. And again, that would include all areas of the contract. I put together a list of about 21 current roadways throughout the township that are currently being worked on or have been worked on recently by PSE&G as part of their ongoing improvements to their gas line. We may have a potential of 10 more roads to add to that list. The township was kind of lucky this year because a lot of those roads are already in poor condition. So we didn't have to go out and add any additional roads. Those roads are going to be done as part of the PSE&G program. I estimate between $3.5 to $4 million for these roads, and that would include engineering, inspection costs, concrete curbing repairs, sidewalk, curb ramps, and any ancillary work. And again, this would be for our Phase 3 I-Bank program. I spoke with the project manager from Pannoni regarding the Performing Arts Center renovation, and we currently have a payment request or payment. I can't get the word out. Request for payment number 6 from the contractor, Levy Construction. It's an amount of $64,502. And I was told this was mainly for the additional sheetrock work, which was installed at the Art Center. The chairs for all the auditorium complex there will be on or about June 12th as far as their arrival date. Before that, though, we have to get all the fire protection, electrical power, supports for the truss lighting, HVAC ceiling, and painting done above the chairs before they can be installed. Yesterday, I personally attended a meeting with Alimo Associates out at the Kennedy Center for the Kennedy Center Library relocation and Senior Center renovation. I spent about 2 hours at the site, and I left and Alimo and their group was still there. Basically, what they were doing was just taking measurements, ascertaining existing conditions, and they had a group of their team, including the HVAC and electrical engineers and structural engineers on site. And they were looking at all around throughout the project scope to, verify existing conditions. They said that concept drawings will be 100% complete and submitted to us by end of March 31st. And I was just told that the asbestos inspection was completed recently by Ahera Consultants. In addition to that, to add to what we discussed at the last meeting regarding the USTF track and field facility, Alimo is currently working on 2 concepts. Concept plan number 3 and 4. Concept plan number 3 includes a synthetic turf field and a USATF Class 5 track and field facility. They said they're still waiting on confirmation from USATF on the required seating capacity and the press box requirements. Concept plan number 4 is a synthetic turf field and a running track without any of the USATF field events components. And this track would be used for recreational purposes by the public as the current track does. The synthetic turf field could be rented out for additional funds for the township. They're going to submit the concept plans 3 and 4 as soon as they finalize the construction estimates, which I'm hoping is in the next couple of weeks. We also had a Teams meeting last week regarding the installation of all the fitness equipment at the fitness court at the JFK Center. We expect to get started on that at the end of April or early May. It's a 4-day anticipated installation period, and they need at least 3.5 to 4 days of weather. That's going to be above 50 degrees, constantly above 50 degrees. So that's the main reason why we can't start it any sooner. We received, over the period of the last couple of weeks, 4 proposals for the reconstruction of Edge Lane as part of our fiscal year 2025 NJDOT Municipal Aid Grant Program. We received quotes from T&M Associates, Pannoni, CME, and R&V Engineers. I'm currently working on the apparent lowest cost proposed from T&M Associates. They originally had some things that weren't included, which the others did. So I've talked with their project manager, and they're going to update their proposal to make it equal in scope for the other 3 engineers, so we can compare apples to apples. And regarding the Big D Marina project, I spoke to a Ms. Rachel Stopper. She's a hazardous discharge site remediation fund coordinator. I hope I got that right. HDSRF coordinator at the New Jersey DEP. I'm supposed to meet with her possibly this week, but more than likely next week, to go over the process of getting this site recognized as a brownfield, and also any potential funding that the township can be eligible for. It's sounds like quite a process, so I want to sit down with her and go over everything in person to get a better idea of what's going on. And that is about it.
All right.
Does
thank you, Mr.
anybody have
Chapolo.
any questions?
Any questions for our engineer?
It was a lot, so.
It's very thorough. Thank you, Mr.
Okay.
Chipola.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chipola. Next, I would like to bring to the podium our tax assessor, Mr. Justin Lamichella, who is going to give us an update on the township's revaluation project, and other things as well. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mayor, Council. Yeah, first, I just figured I'd go over kind of our workload. I guess what we're gonna see in projecting for this year, similar to what I think we saw last year with the reassessment project. As far as our the deeds and processing for SR1Es, we saw about 479 of those. We had about additional property reviews at request for about 540 of those. We're receiving a high, obviously, call volume due to the inspection rate and appointments. So we're looking at about this past year, I think we have about 9,500 calls annually. So we're looking at about the same for tax year 2025. We have about 432 tax searches, record requests to fill out for specific agencies. Also inspections, this year we did 3,516. Those inspections include part of the reassessment and additional inspections. As far as the added assessments and valuations that were completed this year, we had about 245. It was about $8,637,000 in assessment. The current equalization ratio is 69.07. That's our ratio from assessed value to market value. We reviewed about 1,129 permits, expert appraisal reviews and analysis. We had about 15 cases. Additionally, to the inspections and record updating, we had roughly about like 3,800 of those. We had about 400 plus or minus appointments, visits in 2024. Bless you. And additionally, the net valuation in 2025 was about 1,922,148,300. Additionally, by class, we have about 91 vacant land parcels, 10,699 residential parcels, which what we've completed in phase one as far as inspections for this past year was just for class two inspections. So that's where we're working now. Towards the later end of the years, we'll work towards the more complex properties. We have about 179 commercial properties, 10 industrial, 5 apartments, 4 C properties, gives a total of about 194 class 4 properties or commercial properties other than residential. That gives us about 10,988 properties, which are taxable properties. Additionally, we have 651 exempt parcels. The last part of my update is just the status on the reassessment project. As you know, last year, we completed the 2,909 inspections that we were required to. I had a meeting and phone call, I want to say maybe it was like January or February, with the state where they look at and audit and go through the tracking to make sure we comply. We were a little behind, I think, starting a little late, but now we finished pretty much timely. So now we're in year 2025, which is the next percentage. Additionally to that 2909 in the first numbers that I gave you, which is the data entry and records that were updated, that portion of those numbers are directly related to the assessment program. This year, we're starting phase two. We have a little bit of an earlier start, I think, where we are. We got 619 inspections completed and data entered. Also, just as far as a layout, to try to give some information, which in year 3, the process is the same at that point. We're going to continue on the inspection process, which would be through 2026 tax year, the same in 2027 tax year. And then that's going to get us into 2028. So the 2028 tax year is when inspection would be ongoing, and also that's when evaluation analysis would be conducted at that time. The valuations and the net valuation would be completed for the 2029 tax year. What that means that the net valuation would be as of January 1, 2029, which would be based off that net valuation from the valuation and assessments. The reason why the inspection process is a heavy workload, why that's broken down and phased in, is because the large amount of parcels and the size of municipality. We have about a 12,000 unit municipality. I would say we're towards a larger end, definitely not smaller. I would say a medium, larger size municipality. That's why that portion is phased in. The valuation and the analysis would be analyzed from October 1, 2027 to October 1, 2028. So that's the segment in the period where the analysis wants to be done. Where obviously now there would be no analysis or anything done because we can't predict what's going to happen in that year time period. Or if I can, I probably wouldn't be maybe standing here if I was that good at predicting the market in the future. Anyway, so that's the layout in a short picture as far as the reassessment plan. Also, a few other notes I think I have here for you. Let me see the 12-month period I stated. Just a little bit maybe analysis of the current markets today, where they sit today. I think the class 2s, which are typical residentials, 1 to 4 family properties are stable to increasing still. The markets has definitely cooled. I think we're looking at about a 3% increase annually. It's about 0.25% per month. Last year, the analysis or the increasing rate was more aggressive. we're probably somewhere between like a 6 to 10% annually, so a 0.5% almost to 1% per month. So what we're seeing now with interest rates and the way the economy is, there's definitely some cooling there in this area, but I would say going towards stable but still increasing. Definitely not decreasing at the current time. The class fours, which is retail, that's the class 4A, that's stable and flat. That market's seen some struggles. We don't have many retail or class 4. We have about 200, a little over 200 commercials. So we're not heavy in commercials. But the retail market over time has seen some struggles. I think that is in relation, obviously, to technology and the change in the commercial markets. Same with office, which is also considered 4A, but office rates, those vacancy rates have increased, obviously, something due to COVID and remote working. That market has seen high vacancy rates, which also has dropped capitalization rates, increased capitalization rates. The higher the cap rate, the lower the value, lower the cap rate, the higher the value. So capitalization rates have changed due to the vacancy rates. And I think that the change in the economy when it comes to office, industrial is pretty much stable. That also seen some large increases. Again, with changes obviously with more shipping and retail has seen down. Industrials have seen increases from shipping, having some of the lowest capitalization rates they've seen in history over about 2021. Where they are now, they're slightly increasing. So you would say that market's actually maybe going down, stable going down. And Four Cs is always, which is apartments. Apartments is one of the strongest investments historically. So I'd say that's probably stable and always increasing. That's the current market that we're in now. None of that analysis is being done at this time because it wouldn't be relevant or be accounted for a 2029 tax year. So that's pretty much where we are. The current equalization rate is 69.07, which is the relationship of assessed value to market value in terms of where we are now.
Thank you, Mr. Lamasella. Any questions from council? No? All right. Thank you so much for your report.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. A lot of information this evening, council. Last but definitely not least, we have had the benefit of working with Miss Elizabeth Treadway of WSP on a stormwater utility project. We were the recipients of a grant through the state of New Jersey, which provided Ms. Treadway and her firm the opportunity to come and talk about or study the feasibility of a stormwater utility here in Willingboro. We've been working together for several months, and this is the culmination of, I shouldn't say the culmination, the end point of her work here in Willingboro because of funding issues on levels higher than us. So I'm going to call Ms. Treadway to the podium at this time. And thank you for your hard work.
Good evening, Ms. Treadway.
Sure. Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Mr. Solicitor, all members and an audience that I don't get to see behind me, but I hope that they don't mind having to look at my back. There is a presentation that goes on with this, and I think that the cue is, next slide, please.
That's the cue.
Super. The whole purpose of this feasibility study is to look at your stormwater operations, how it's currently funded, what is not getting done, in order for us to give you a picture going forward. So regardless of the funding method, the first part of the study really focuses on who you are, what your services are, what the system does, how well is it performing, what are gaps that need to be addressed, what are the pressures on it. And we're going to talk about those things. So let's take a look at the next slide. Should be a summary of the agenda. It really is important to recognize what goes on within your current stormwater program. Okay? So realizing that you have leadership that is delivered by the town manager through your direction. It is important to recognize the gentleman over here on my right, your public works operation. I'm an old public works director. Well, you know, I'm old, but I'm an old public works director. And I just love what he does for a living, which is why I have the passion to bring to you our thoughts on taking a look at your program. Having a township engineer in-house is a really value add for you and something we see is important to the program. And recognizing that this is an integrated set of services. So planning's involved, public communication is involved. The mandates that come through this program are really important to recognize that there are lots of pressures being put on you. So let's take a look at the next slide. And in that, one of the things that we found is that you have a very complex but distributed system, and you are just like everyone else in that perspective. Stormwater systems aren't like water and sewer. It's not all nicely connected. You've got a start point and an end point. You've got all of these pieces that get separated, right? It's complex. All the component pieces are interconnected, working together, and need to work efficiently together. We did a cost estimate on the value of those components in your community today. Somewhere between 45 and $50 million of assets are in your stormwater system. That's an important thing to remember. It's 60 years plus old in general. It's aging. When we get old, you know, I'm like all metal, shoulder metal, hip metal, knees. We just have to replace these parts, right? If we have to do it, we need to be able to do it to the system as well. So in the next slide, we reflect on the fact that you have looked at this system. You have a management plan. The only challenge we would say back to you is that it's old. It has not been updated since 2007, and the world has changed in stormwater since that date. The way that we manage systems, the way we invest in them, a lot of technology has changed in that time period. And so it's important to update this, but not only simply because of its age, but because the state has kind of a gun aimed at you that says you're going to do planning. Your new permit requires that you do that. So this is one of the documents that you really need to update and direct through that document how stormwater should move forward from an engineering analysis, from a performance perspective. So that's something that's important that we update. In the next slide, now let's skip past that one. That's for public information. It's important to recognize what's happening in New Jersey. I'm sure all of us can recognize what's happened with the extreme events that have hit not only you, but so many communities. The kind of flooding that we're seeing, the consistency of that flooding on a frequency basis, the fact that in the last 50 years, New Jersey's been hit with 42 extreme rain events. If we plotted that on a graph, you would see that the curve is going upward to the right. The frequency of those events are occurring not just once every decade, they're occurring now once, twice, 3 times every year. Your stormwater system needs to be able to handle a portion of that. An extreme weather event is typically a flow that no one system is going to do away with flooding. There aren't enough dollars out there to prevent those extreme event flood consequences, but your system needs to perform optimally even when it's under stress. And right now, that's not what we see happening. In the next slide, let's go through those challenges. Next slide, please. So one of the things that we identified was getting the public involved in solving some of the problems. The state requires you to investigate your system. You have over 200 points of discharge. 20% of those are to be evaluated every year under dry weather conditions. What we're looking for is there's a flow that shouldn't be there, right? So when you have the public involved in the sense of being educated about what's happening, we can avoid things like debris or leaves, trash being dumped into an inlet, things that will cause a backup, potentially a flow in place that you don't want it to be. And so it's important to recognize that the public has to be a part of the solution. In the next slide, please. Great example of what we're talking about. That's an inlet. That should be open. That should be able to take inflow. The next slide, I think, also demonstrates a similar kind of thing. When your inlets look like that, your system is obviously not at capacity. Now, I will tell you those pictures are not taken in Willingboro. I don't want to lead you to believe that that's the case.
Good.
We have a plethora,
Good.
but I would bet that you could probably find one or two that might look like that. Not unusual, unfortunately, not unusual. Regardless of how hard your public works operation is going, debris is going to, especially after heavy events, occur and look something like that. In our next slide, we talked about the extreme rain events. We talked about their frequency. We need to understand what your objective then would be for the system. What is the rainfall event that you want to see that it can handle and perform optimally? So it's important in your planning process to be thinking about your objectives, what you're trying to protect, both in life and property damage, and how you can go about doing it. The next slide, please. And along comes the federal government in 1990, after mandate from Congress in the Water Quality Act of 1987. We now have water quality permits issued on probably about 13,000 communities in this country, and you're one of them. In 2004, the Department of Environmental Protection issued the first round of what we refer to as the small or phase 2 discharge permits for stormwater. From its original form in 2004 to the permit that was issued to you and renewed on January 1 of 2023, the complexity of that permit is significantly different. The last 20 years, we have now seen, and was intended by the regulations, that things will get more and more difficult every year for you to achieve and protect water quality. New Jersey has moved into the game of including your maintenance operations in your water quality permit. So it's no longer just good best practices in public works. It is now mandated. And there are increased requirements. Our final report documents all of the things that you need to take on, either brand new or expanded through this new permit. And it's quite a list of activities. Our next slide, please. Some of the things that are emphasized in this new permit that I want to just point out here. The infrastructure cleaning is one of those priorities. So what does it mean? Starting next year, you're to increase your sweeping program by 50%. That's not insignificant. That's new equipment that you need to add. That's likely a new crew that you need to hire. To go from where you are now to a 50% increase in frequency is really significant. And this is coming through a mandate. This is not something that is just a good idea. It is a good idea that the state has said you will, starting in 2026, increase your sweeping program by 50%. Now, we looked at a pretty ugly picture of what an inlet can look like. Obviously, an increased sweeping program is meant to target that kind of activity so that you can reduce the amount of debris, fines, dirt that builds up on the street that then, when it rains, gets picked up and brought to those discharge points. So there's a list of things that come with this new permit. Two things I wanted to point out in this slide is the sweeping program and something called watershed implementation plans. Again, starting this year through the permit term in 2028, you are to have completed an inventory, a map, a study, and developed a strategy to address water quality protection throughout the community. It's not just to have a plan, because the intent is that every 2 years you will update those plans and implement the projects that are recommended in them. And most of them at the watershed level are going to be capital projects. They're not going to be simple. They're not going to be inexpensive. And so you have this permit cycle to do all the planning. You'll have the future permit cycles that you have to report on your progress every other year and accomplish what's in your plans. Again, this is a much more complex permit than we're used to. Next slide, please. So you have the basic focus areas of the permit. This is what's required of you. The public education, the public involvement, the illicit detection. I talked about you needed to inspect your discharge points, 20% of them a year. The whole purpose is to find things that are connected to your system that shouldn't be there. Construction oversight, post-construction management, which means making sure the private sector that's invested in stormwater systems is keeping their systems operating. And you're responsible to see that they are. Now, you have a great working agreement with the county in that way from an inspection perspective, but it is still your responsibility to make sure that those inspections occur. And then good housekeeping is basically saying you're a business too. And so we expect you as a business to manage your infrastructure, your buildings, your facilities, your parks, all of your activities that you have invested in. You need to make sure that they're well taken care of, that they're not contributing to degraded water quality. Next slide, please. These are just visual examples. You can go through these slides pretty quickly, please. They're just examples of what retrofit or post-construction facilities can look like. They can be very attractive, right? Again, some details, and we'll keep that. I added some things not to, for us to have to talk about them, and we're not going to read what's on that slide. But I wanted it for the public record so that anyone could go back and take a look at this in detail and see some more information. So let's go to the next slide. And that's, okay, so what are the challenges now that you need to deal with? We talked about the screening. We talked about the fact that you've got to do that maintenance. You have to make sure that your conveyance system is operating optimally. Next slide, please. And we're not going to read all these details. They really are there for good information. Again, your street sweeping is increased by 50% starting next year. You have to make sure your private management facilities are operating efficiently. If they're not, you need to enforce on them. You need to maintain a map of the system. And that map comes in an important role when you do that planning, when you update your management plan and when you initiate your watershed studies. Next slide, please. And then you have capital improvements. So one of the things that happened in the industry about 50 to 60 years ago was the use of corrugated metal pipe, a lot of it. We've got a lot of it all over the country. Well, unfortunately, it has a very short life compared to your reinforced concrete pipe. And it's now coming home to roost all over the United States. The bottoms will actually rust out. You'll get a collapsed pipe. You'll get a failure. You end up having to invest a lot. Well, you have a significant amount of it. And you really ought to undertake and think about having a long-term plan for how to deal with the potential failure of those components in your system. Next slide, please. So what is a stormwater utility? We've got all these issues, and I'm sorry to just bring doom and gloom. But what do you do then to fund it? Well, the state in 2019 passed legislation, and I will tell you, I do this work all over the United States and Canada. And this happens to be one of the best pieces of legislative authority on this subject that I've ever worked with. And I say that to compliment the state, whoever wrote it. We're really thinking about you because it is so flexible. It gives all the power to you to make these decisions. And that is absolutely critically important. So why think about a utility? Well, the critical thing about a utility is everybody gets into the pond, the river, with everybody, okay? When you fund an infrastructure based on property value and use general fund tax dollars, it's only those participants that have taxable property that are involved in funding the solution. In a utility, just as in water, sewer, solid waste, we in the public works field do a lot of fee-based funding. This is the same principle. Everybody gets to participate, regardless of tax status, including the federal government, the state government, local governments, all of your nonprofits, schools, everybody gets into the game of helping to share in the cost going forward. A tremendous benefit to the overall community. Let's take a look at the next slide, please. So residents can benefit from this on all kinds of levels. One is they know that there's a plan out there to fix problems when problems occur. We look to our utilities to be sound and financially sound and being able to actually take care of things when we need to take care of them. so that expectations can be met, so that long-term planning can be done, so that folks can know that what's happening at the corner of Smith and Elm is going to be solved and they don't have to deal with it forever because there's a dedicated resource. It's not competing for other initiatives in the community. It is required to be spent only on stormwater. Next slide, please. As I said, this is a wonderful piece of legislation. You're late to the game. There are thousands of stormwater utilities in the United States. You now have 2 in New Jersey. The first 2, New Brunswick and Maplewood, I believe. I believe I'm saying that correctly. And you're going to see them pop up. There are studies going on all over the state because this gives you a solid platform for going forward. Next slide, please. We don't need that slide. We just talked about it. We can go to the next one. This is really important in that these funds can only be spent on stormwater and all things stormwater. So if it's even tangentially stormwater, I'm often asked, well, what about snow removal? Well, guess what? Snow isn't any different than rainwater. It's just in a different form, right? So anything stormwater that relates to the capture and disposal of rain, moisture, it is a part of your program. And so you want to think broadly if you want to pursue the concept of a utility. Next slide, please. The other thing that's in the legislation that's so important is that it's built on a principle, and it's stated in a number of places, of fairness and equity. The idea that everyone should be involved in solving the challenges of dealing with this runoff. So regardless of whether it's a taxable property, if it is a developed property, it is indeed eligible to be charged a utility fee for stormwater. Next slide, please. We're not going to do that. Next slide, please. Let me see what's in that next slide. I'm getting behind on myself. Okay. Let's stop this right at this point, okay? We don't need the slides, and I'm going to finish this off for you. The critical question that you want to ask yourself is, how do you deal with these challenges? And how can you maximize the concept of fairness and equity? The law that established the utility structure has that built in for you. The idea that everyone should be involved in funding and solving the challenges, the mandates the state has handed to you, are important initiatives to protect water quality, to protect the integrity of your system. And it's important that you meet those responsibilities. The difference between a property tax-based charge and a utility is the who gets to pay. We analyze the property within your community. Tax revenue is generated by your single-family homes and residences primarily. 91% of your revenue, when we pulled the property records, is coming from single-family and residential properties. When you put a utility fee in that place, it drops down to 59% of the revenue comes from your residential properties. Because everybody gets involved in helping support this system. So the law requires that you build in fairness and equity. The concept allows you then to distribute the cost on the basis of why you have to have a public system, and that's impervious area. So it is developed property by the law that if it generates runoff, it doesn't matter where it goes, it doesn't have to come to the public system, as long as it's generating runoff because of the presence of impervious area, it is eligible to be charged. This comes back to you then to think about the values in Willingboro. What is important to you? What would you want to see going forward? Where we stop in the study is not a decision point to say implement or not. It is giving you the knowledge to say, we have issues, they're significant. We are mandated to meet these issues. We have two primary methods to fund this program. What will work best for Willingboro? To answer that question, we recommend the next steps. Get the public involved. Engage and get feedback. And help facilitate the conversation of what it is the community wants to have as an outcome. So it's important in the next steps to have an interactive process where you're gathering information and you're setting goals. And you then analyze your program down to long-term objectives. You're spending about $950,000 a year, just taking 1 year as a snapshot based on projects that you've been undertaking. We estimate you need to be spending about $3 million a year. Our report details that out for you. That's quite a difference. Now, that's not going from 1 year to the next. You build that anytime you build a utility over time. That's an in-game kind of number. That's an fully operating, your objectives are being met, you're being proactive. But it is a significant number.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Treadway, for your presentation. I think it gave all of us, not just the council, but the community, a lot to think about as we move forward and trying to figure out what we need to do to optimize the function and maintenance of our stormwater system. This has been a topic that we've spent a bit of time on, and especially with some of the critical failures that have been happening throughout the system, we've had to invest quite a bit into them. And funding that through the Public Works Department has been a pretty big cost burden. So I think the utility is a method, an alternative to the current way that we're funding, and definitely something to think about, especially with all of the other mandates that are coming along with the changes. It's going to add significant costs to our maintenance. So thank you so much for your presentation.
It's been a pleasure. And I want to say that to you as someone who's been doing this for 30 more years than we need to count. You have a wonderful group of folks here, and you know that. I'm sure you already know that. But it was a real pleasure to be able to work with them.
Thank you so much, and we will be in touch.
Great.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Take care. All right. Thank you. Did anyone, sorry, I've neglected to ask, did anyone have any questions on the stormwater presentation?
No, I just wanted, I just wanted to
Councilwoman
make sure that
McIntosh?
presentation was available for further review.
All right. All right, Mr. Harris, if you will go over the resolutions proposed tonight.
Thank you, Mayor. Being presented for your consideration this evening is Resolution number 75, which is a resolution authorizing the approval of vouchers for payments and ratification. Resolution number 76 is a resolution authorizing a refund for overpayment of taxes. Resolution number 77 is a resolution to rescind a prior resolution that was adopted by the body earlier this year, resolution number 2025-22. This was recommended by our auditors to prevent an over expenditure in our 2024 budget. Resolution number 78 is a resolution authorizing transfers between our 2024 budget appropriations. Resolution number 79 is a resolution authorizing transfers between 2024 budget appropriation reserves. Resolution number 80 is a resolution establishing a new petty cash fund for the clerk's office. We need to transition the current fund from the former clerk's name to our new current clerk's name as the custodian of that fund. Resolution number 81 is a resolution authorizing contracts with approved Educational Services Commissions of New Jersey Cooperative Systems, ESCNJ, for contract vendors for contracting units pursuant to New Jersey statutes. This is for Xtel Communications, which does a lot of our telephony work, and to enter into a contract with Photonics to do some records management in the clerk's office. Resolution number 82 is a resolution authorizing change order number 11 and change order number 14 for a contract with Levy Construction Company for phase one of the Willingboro Performance Arts Center renovation. The culmination of this change order will result in a decrease in the contract amount totaling $27,414.35, which is a 3.28% overall decrease in the contract value. Resolution number 83 is a resolution authorizing the township to establish a not to exceed amount for Degler Whitting Incorporated. They're going to be installing electric basketball court winches on our basketball courts at the Kennedy Center in the gym. Resolution number 84 is authorizing application number 2025-05310-0531 to the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs for Willingboro Community Center. This is for an additional $500,000 grant to utilize in our improvements in our community center. Resolution number 85 is a resolution submitting a grant application through the Department of Environmental Protection for 2 new battery electric trucks and purchase and install 1 DCFC for fueling. DCFC is a charging station, so it's not for fueling, it's for electrifying. But we were the recipient of a grant in the amount of about $472,000 from the DEP to purchase or to offset the purchase of 2 electric vehicles through a reimbursement of the difference of pricing between a diesel or gas vehicle versus an electric vehicle. And the way that it works out with the rebate, it's almost like the township getting a 2-for-1 deal on the pricing for these electric vehicles. So we're happy to receive that. So this is the execution of that application and the agreements. Resolution number 86 is a resolution appointing a deputy township clerk. And resolution number 87 is appointing members to various boards and commissions. And that is all we are presenting to you this evening for your consideration.
All right. Now we will go to public comment for agenda items only. You will have 2 minutes. Please state your name and address. Raise your hand online if you'd like to speak, and please come up to the microphone in the room. Public comment is now open for agenda items only.
Good evening, Pat Lindsay Harvey, Medford Lane. Can I comment on the manager's update since it's on the agenda? Or no, do I have to wait till the, wait till the-
Yeah, I'd rather wait for that one. Thank you. IT, is there any online?
Not at this time, Mayor.
Seeing none, public comment is now closed. All right, council, are there any resolutions that you would like to pull for discussion this evening? For the public's knowledge, there are a few ordinances on the printed agenda or the agenda that was advertised.
I updated that agenda,
Okay.
Madam Mayor.
So we will not be going over any ordinances today. There are no ordinances on the agenda for today. Any items to pull? All right, seeing none, I motion for a consent agenda for resolution 2025-75 through 2025-87.
Second.
Moved by Mayor Whitfield, seconded by Councilwoman Brown. Roll call?
Sorry. Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilman Anderson.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Councilwoman McIntosh,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Worthy, seconded by Councilman Anderson. Roll call?
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman McIntosh,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, we have the approval of minutes.
Can I get a motion and a second to approve the meeting minutes and executive session minutes from February 28th, 2025, and the regular meeting minutes from March 4th, 2025?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Worthy, seconded by Councilwoman Perone. Roll call?
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman McIntosh,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
Thank you.
And Madam Clerk, I'll turn it to you for the municipal clerk's updates.
Thank you. All right, so we have a couple updates this evening. I first wanted to start it off by following up with a request from Councilwoman McIntosh from last meeting. One of the comments last meeting was informing the public which companies have active solicitation permits. So we have 2 companies right now that have submitted all the requirements, passed the background checks, and have been given solicitation permits. So there's 2 individuals from Ally Experts and 1 individual from Home Solutions. These companies will also be given an updated list of the no-knock registry. When you sign up for that registry, you also sign up to be given the address. You sign up to acknowledge that your address will be given to these people, so they have, something in their hand to show that they're not allowed to go to these houses. So I just got an updated list from Ms. Jackson today that I'll make sure that everyone has out. If you see anyone from a company that isn't Allied Experts or Home Solutions, please either give us a call or call the police just to make sure, we stay on top of the solicitors in town and making sure even the companies that are like pending aren't kind of jumping that gun and soliciting before they have the actual license in hand. And I'll keep you updated. Every municipal clerk's update, I'll make sure that the public knows who's coming around. Moving forward, earlier this week, I sent out the council a memo to give you guys an update on the status of the Vault dispensary. The council approved a cannabis retail license for the conditional approval for this dispensary back in December. One of the outstanding items they were still working on is acquiring all the state licenses that are needed to open. Our ordinance gives them a three-month grace period to obtain these permits, which is coming to an end. I just want to make council aware of this, so you can kind of decide what you want to do next steps. The ordinance also gives council the discretion to extend the grace period after that 3 months, if that's the council's desire. The owner, Miss Victor, she estimates that she'll have all the required state permits by the end of June. I was just trying to gauge your thoughts on whether this is something you would want to extend. If you wouldn't want to extend, you don't have to decide now, but I do want to get a resolution prepared for the next meeting, just so we stay on top of that. So that is another update. Like Mr. Harris said, we will be introducing the budget hopefully next meeting. The mayor and I are looking at getting some special meetings on the book for budget hearings. We would like to hold 3 budget hearings at 4 p.m. Once the budget is introduced, just so you as a council can kind of discuss. Here, I'm going to give you a bunch of dates. I will send them also in an email so you know, but just so it's on your mind. So we're looking at some Fridays and Wednesdays in April, all starting at 4 p.m. So we have Friday, April 4th, Friday, April 11th, Wednesday, April 23rd, Thursday, April 24th, Friday, April 25th. Those 3 days we were kind of just thinking we could bang them all out together, but it's up to you guys. Or Wednesday, April 30th. And again, I'm going to send this in an email just so you guys are aware. Moving on to the special election, that was last Tuesday. I have some preliminary results from the county. I will be getting the certified results in the next couple weeks, but these are from the county website. They are available to the public, but just so people are informed. We had 2,329 residents participate in the special election, with 1,305 votes cast on the actual day of the election and 1,024 votes cast by vote by mail, which was super exciting because I know that's something the county is working on utilizing more. This totals an 8.7% turnout for the special election. The unofficial numbers from the county show that 67.7% of voters voted yes to question 1, which is 32.24% voting no. And then for question 2, we had 53.95% of voters voting yes, with a 46.05% voting no. Again, the county will send me the certified copy in the next couple weeks, but this is a pretty good indication of what these numbers are looking like, unless there was a random vote by mail ballot that is somewhere floating in the ether that hasn't gotten back to them yet. Moving on to the primary election, this is my bi-monthly reminder of important election dates that you will be memorizing by heart by primary election. Primary election is June 10th from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Voter registration deadline is May 20th. Deadline to apply for a vote by mail ballot by mail is June 3rd, but you can go in person to the county and apply for a vote by mail as late as June 9th. And then early voting will be from June 6th through June 8th. I'm still waiting on the county to hear about the library for early voting. I'm hoping to get those in the next 2 weeks once we certify polling places. And then finally, as noted, Resolution 2025-86, we have hired our new deputy clerk, Miss Nikisha Scott. She's here this evening to meet all of council. I tried to point her out to a couple of you, but I'll definitely make sure to introduce her to everyone after the meeting. I'm really excited for her to start. Her start date is on the 28th. That's next Friday, and I'm excited to see where she's gonna grow in this position and further a bunch of our initiatives in the clerk's office. And that is what I got.
Thank you so much, Madam Clerk. Any questions for the clerk on her report? Councilwoman Perrin.
Thank you. Just one question regarding the solicitation permits. What's the time capacity on their permits? Like how long is it good for
Like when they apply, how like.
after they're approved? Is it?
So it's a calendar year. So all of the licenses expire December 31st. So we are going to be working on sending out letters to, because maybe the solicitors, even though we do tell them multiple times, maybe the solicitors just think it's, good for a year from when they get it. So we're gonna send out letters to be like, hey, you need to come back and renew. But all of the licenses did expire December 31st. So the ones that I mentioned are the ones that are good. They've applied this year and they've gone through.
Okay.
Hmm.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Councilwoman McIntosh.
Thank you. I don't know if you had said it, when are, the petitions due?
Petitions are due next Monday, March 24th at 4 p.m. or by 4 p.m.
Thank you.
And there is I know I did say this at some point, but there is a signature update. So it used to be 50 signatures and now it's 75 signatures for Willingboro residents if you'd like to put in a petition.
Okay, any other questions from Madam Clerk? No? Seeing none, thank you, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
And we will go to unfinished business. Anyone want to bring anything up for unfinished business this evening? How about new business?
I have one for new business.
Deputy Mayor Worthing.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So with keeping in mind this 8.7% voter turnout that we had just last week, because question number 2 passed, the school district will begin working on their buildings during the summer months. And in keeping in the spirit of One Willingboro and an earlier discussion about how the township can assist throughout the summer with literacy programs and educational programs during the summer months, I wanted the council to consider doing something this summer for the students because the school district schools will be closed. So that means there would not be the extended school year, like the summer school program, Camp Cab, the traditional summer camps that are going on in the schools will not be able to run in the same way because the schools are going to be under construction. And so as we continue to talk about how we can work together as one community, I was interested in considering what I'll call Super Summer, Willingboro Super Summer. And the Super Summer could include the township running summer camp in a little bit of a different way, where we are doing similar to summer school during the morning portions and doing more activities and hands-on and crafts and things like that in the afternoon. Not just using the JFK Center, but partnering with the library to see if we can use the multipurpose room, working with the chief to see if we can use their training room, working with local partners. We have Alpha Baptist Church, who's a partner to the school district. We have Del Val, who's a partner with the school district. They have spaces, they have classrooms, they've got halls, maybe with Foster's and the connections that Councilman Perone has. But looking at different places and spaces throughout the town where we truly can show up as One Willingboro and support the children of the district. Different from the traditional recreation summer, this particular program would be targeted to our Willingboro School District children. And the reason behind that is because they would have access to IXL, they have access to iReady, they have access to a lot of the technology where the school district could then measure the growth of the students over the summer, see what the impact of, summer learning could be. The township could work to hire not necessarily school teachers, but students who are at Rowan University. We have student teachers from Rowan that are in the school district doing student teaching. That's a population of people who have substitute certifications. Those people already have been background checked and screened. But I think that this unique opportunity avails itself where the community could really consider how can we work together using the resources that we have and truly come together to serve our students. Typically in the summertime, the extended school year program runs for about 6 weeks. I think it's 4 to 6 weeks. We could look at doing something for 4 to 6 weeks. We could look at possibly expanding it. But I really just want the council to consider, an opportunity for us to do something that brings the community together. It wouldn't add to our expenses in a considerable way because we already run a summer camp. We would count on these community partners. We have so many organizations that say they partner with us. We get an opportunity to ask them to truly partner with us by making their space available to us. But I don't think it would be a significant level of effort beyond what is going to be happening anyway with summer. And so I'm just asking council to just to consider an approach like that for the summer. Because again, question number 2, we just got the results. We're just now learning of it. We now know that this could possibly be a solution for the students of Willingboro School District and for families of Willingboro who are going to be looking for places for their children to go throughout the summer. So I'm just asking for council to consider that. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Worthy. Anyone have any comments on?
No, I think it's an excellent suggestion. I would be open to having discussion with the superintendent, and Mr. Harris as well, as far as what that looks like, on paper and really the layout as far as the instructors for the programs of the extended school year. I know some of the students are special needs, so just kind of looking into it in further detail, having a round table perhaps. I would like to explore that. I think it's a great idea.
I agree. I think it's a great initiative. Just want to kind of, I guess, hash it out with, our record department and see how we can, but summer's coming up. So I guess sooner than later, see how we can get that aligned. That's a great initiative. Thank you.
As you said, Dr. Worthy, I think this is an opportunity for us to come together as one Willingboro. As we know, the recent special election affects not just our school population, but it affects all of us. And understanding the commitment that we've made financially to the school and how that impacts the students directly over the summer is an important consideration. So I think it is due to have a conversation with how the school board and the municipality can work together to provide those extended school year services to our youth, or work with our rec department on our current summer programming to make sure it addresses some of those needs of the students. So thank you, Dr. Worthy, for that suggestion. And I think as we continue down the path, maybe a joint meeting would be due, I guess. A joint meeting just to start to lay out what this could look like, what the financial impacts would be for both the school district and the municipality and any other partner that will participate in this program. But
okay, I'll reach out to the school district and get a meeting set up and get a stakeholder meeting set up.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other new business? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to public comment. This public comment is our general public comment. You will have 4 minutes. Please come to the mic and state your name and address. If you are online, please raise your hand. Public comment is now open.
Hello, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and council members. I'm Mary Jane Breen from 41 Gamewell Lane in Willingboro. I've lived here for 50 years, and I've always thought that Willingboro was one place that was one community. Unfortunately for me, Saturday's program, I was conflicted because it was addressed as Black family wellness. And as you can see, I'm not Black. But I moved to Willingboro back in '75 because it was an integrated community. And I loved the diversity that's here. My neighbors and I are very connected. We're a family. And that's how I feel about Willingboro. And I was conflicted because I wanted to attend at the Kennedy Center and I didn't. I decided at the last minute not to because it said Black family wellness. And I wondered, one, was it really meant just to be for Black families or was it meant to be for one community? Because if not, then are we having a white or Caucasian family wellness expo, a Asian American family wellness expo, and so on and so on, a Spanish descent or Spanish expo. And that was my question and concern. Since I still have time left, I would like to address the issue of extended school year that was mentioned in the summer programs. Extended school year as a retired special ed federal project employee in Pennsylvania, extended school year is mandated still as a federal program, and so it must be delivered. It doesn't have to be delivered in the same school it was last year. It could be delivered anywhere, but the services must be delivered, and that's important. One of the things over the years for Read Across America and for several years, Willingboro Neighborhood Watch was invited into the high school. And one thing the high school students shared with me was they felt a disconnect with the members of the community. And that broke my heart because it takes our community, our whole community, to raise our children and to make sure they have all of the skills necessary to be successful and happy as adults in our life. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mary Jane.
So now it's appropriate.
Yes.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council, and everyone else that's here this evening. I'm Pat Lindsay Harvey on Medford Lane. My first comment about the tax assessment. So, and I said this last year, I'm very, very concerned about the assessment. With our escalating costs of our homes, I'm fearful that the assessment is going to cause a lot of residents not to be able to afford to live here anymore. It's very possible that some people's taxes are going to double because of the assessment. This happened also in Princeton some years ago, and it really affected one particular neighborhood significantly. That whole neighborhood is totally changed now. So we have a lot of residents who love this town who may not be able to stay here anymore, and that really hurts me. Secondly, the presentation of the stormwater utility feasibility study. It's something that the Environmental Commission has been looking a lot at. Thank you, Ms. Treadway, for your presentation. It was excellent. And I don't know if any of you have either been victim of or seen the effects of flooding. Unfortunately, I had the opportunity to talk to and see a number of residents in 2018, and just to see the sheer pain on their faces when everything in their home is destroyed by water. You know, waking up in the morning and they have knee-high water and everything in their home is destroyed. There were residents who had to walk away from their homes that they had lived in for years because they didn't have flood insurance. They were in an area that they couldn't get flood insurance because it wasn't in a flood zone. So I'm hoping that the council really looks at and really considers the stormwater utility. The other thing is the rain garden at the Kennedy Center. When I come to the Kennedy Center, I always go over there and look at the rain garden. And it's constantly full of leaves. It was put there to mitigate the flooding that happens on the roadway at the Kennedy Center. This is probably the 4th time I've taken pictures. The water has no place to go again. It's causing the flooding, which the rain garden, when it's maintained, will keep the flooding at bay. So I'm going to send Mr. Harris the pictures again. Lastly, we're in our, I think our 4th or 5th week of the WMUA's Water Industry Pre-Apprenticeship Program. We have 20 students. It's going extremely well. The students are enjoying it. We're enjoying it. We're at the end of the month, we're taking the students on a tour of the wastewater plant. No, I'm sorry, the water plant. So that it's exciting. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lindsay Harvey.
Good morning, evening, council and members. I am 74 years old. My name is Julia D. Shields. I live in, I'm sorry.
It's hard to
I live
hear
in
you.
I live in Twin Hill Drive.
Can you say your name one more time?
Julia D. Shields. I live in Twin Hill Drive. Excuse me, Toledo Lane. I live on Toledo Lane. My issue is one of age and trash. I live at the top of a T, which means the streets before me and the streets beside me, I get trash. I just did 18 bags of leave myself, and they picked them up last week. That was the last day. With this passing storm, I go back out in my yard, and against my fence is leaves, plastic bottles, trash bags, McDonald's refuse and all that. My thing is, there are a lot of cans in Willingboro. Now, the ordinance says that you have to have the town provided, you should place your trash must be placed and provided by township containers with the lids. And the lids have to be closed and they must be attached. There are so many units that have open cans and have the township acquired trash can, but the tops are off. So when the wind blows, their trash blows everywhere. And I'm a catch-all. My thing is, we have an inspection department, and I know that they're not open as much as they used to 3 years ago, but can they at least come by and give people warnings about making sure that they're using the right trash receptacles so that people like me don't have to deal with other people's trash? Can you imagine picking up other people's trash? It's very inconvenient and backbreaking for me. And the other thing, can we have the inspectors like walk through? Years ago, they used to walk through. Now they just drive through. And sometimes they don't even stop. So I know that we're short man-wise and we're short hours-wise, but we need to start re-beautifying Willingboro. And I say this because there's a lot of people that moved into this Willingboro that don't know the rules and regulations. I myself didn't know certain rules and regulations until I got a warning. I have my address over my garage, but I put a light there and blocked it. I also put my address on the street, on my driveway, but I didn't know that it had to be visible from the street, and it had to be either on the top of the driveway, not on the door, the garage door, or the door. I didn't know that. When I knew that, I complied. But I said that to say this. There's a lot of people that don't know our rules and regulations. So if the inspection department start giving out warnings, maybe people will become aware and we'll have less trash. I'm sorry, our Willingboro used to be pristine clean. Now it's starting to look like Philadelphia, where I used to live, North Philly, and that's not good. If we want to invite people coming in, paying almost $300,000 for a house, that's all I have to say. I need help.
Thank you, Ms. Shields.
Esther Turner, 3 Woodhaven Lane. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and esteemed council. I'm here to give another update in reference to my situation with the sewer problem that I'm having. It's been 6 weeks, 6 to 7 weeks now, and there really has not been any movement in terms of a resolution. I know that the WMUA have had discussions, and in all due respect, we have the chair of the WMUA here, Miss Patricia Lacy Harvey. So I just wanted to give her the respect and recognizing her here in the midst. I did receive a letter indicating the lengthy lateral list to place my property in comparison to the other properties listed based on the length of the off-site lateral. And it ranges between 27 feet to 100 feet with the properties that are listed in what I received, mine's being the longest run to the main. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention as well. So we're talking 27 feet is the shortest distance for a particular homeowner to reach the main. Mine's would be 100 feet, which is a very, very long distance. And, you know, it appears that it's suggested that I'm the one that would have to pay for this problem. So I just want to bring that to the attention, and anytime anyone wants to come to my property, they're welcome to do so. I don't need to be home. There's a way to access the back of the property leading to where I guess the main is. As I indicated before, it does connect with other properties along the way, and it will literally tear up and destroy their properties in order for us to get to where we need to go to fix the problem. The other thing that I wanted to do, and I don't know whether or not I need to propose this to the township solicitor or not. I just need clarification. Do we own the land in this town or not? Because I was under the impression that we do not own the land. The township owns the land. Recently, I was told that we do own the land. So it's a question that needs to be addressed and answered. I think the public needs to know that, and I definitely need to know as well, because my position is that I don't own the land leading out to where the main is, so I should not be responsible. It's not my land, it's not my property. I took care of my area on my property, and anything extends beyond that, I'm not responsible for Levitt or whoever put the sewer system in years ago. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Turner.
Good evening, Deputy Mayor, Mayor, and council members.
Good evening.
My name's Tashina Costa. I live on Magnet Lane. I've been in this community for a very long time. You even taught my almost 25-year-old son how to play baseball many years ago. It's been a very long time. My main resident is Magnet Lane. I've been here, like I said, for 20 years. I've owned many homes in this town. I've only resided in one, from North Garfield to Pennypacker, Fairmont, two in Magnet, several. Always had great relationships with either folks that live next door to my properties, and also when I'm selling properties, doing renovations, things like that. Always had a really, really good relationship with the neighbors. In my home, we have a new neighbor. Unfortunately, as one of the other speakers were stating, everyone who moves into Willingboro, one, doesn't understand the rules. They don't necessarily understand suburban setting, especially if you come from a very large urban community. And just to cut this short, I'm also a contractor. So I build stuff, a lot of stuff, in this community as well. My new neighbor, who is from Venezuela, and her husband, I don't know the status of these folks, however, but they have entertained illegal immigrants next door to me from Venezuela that came in through a caravan. And I only know that because she told me. They're coming. That's not good that they're coming. My neighbor decided to erect a deck on the side of their property. This is Willingboro. So erecting a deck on the side of a property, if you don't have an end unit or a corner property, is going to create a privacy nuisance because our community is cookie cutter, regardless of the park. There's no home in this town, not many, might be a few, where you could have neighbors on your left and right and you erect a deck and not create a privacy nuisance, and which is what they've done. So just to state, and I know I sent you an email, Dr. Worthy, just mentioning this, but just to kind of highlight some of the things that I've noticed, and I do have a couple of images of the decks if you'd like to see what they've actually built. And here's like, the images are in the back. And so my letter here today is to bring to your attention the issue regarding the zoning regulations. While they built a deck within zoning regulations, within the side setbacks allotted by our zoning laws, those zoning laws have not taken into account the gray areas, right? Of one, people not necessarily using common sense when they're erecting a deck. Two, the projection of that deck, who's going to be looking at it, how it's going to be necessarily observed, not just by yourself, but how it impacts other neighbors. Specifically, the side setbacks related to the placement of the decks in our community is why I'm here and what I'm asking for the council to address. As we continue to grow and develop in Willingboro, a lot of homes are being renovated, continuously renovated. We have a lot of flippers that work here. I'm one of them. We also have some new builds that are taking place in the township as well. But the increasing concern about the ambiguity of the side deck requirements is really the issue. Homeowners are
Ma'am.
finding themselves, just like myself, in a position
Your
where
4 minutes is up. But I will make sure that they all get the handout. And if you want, I can take your information and get.
that would be great. I guess lastly to say, you know, being here 20 years and having a brand new neighbor.
Ms. Acosta, I'm sorry, your time is
Oh,
up, but
okay.
we can talk to you at a later date.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other public comment?
Yes, Mayor. Beulah Williams.
Good evening, Ms. Williams.
Good evening, Mayor Whitfield. Good evening, Deputy Mayor. Dr. Worthy, Councilwoman McIntosh, and Councilman Perone, and others, the manager and so on. I'm not disrespecting the men, but I want to honor Women's History Month. So I want to just, this is Beulah Williams, formerly living at Botany Circle, now relocated to Virginia. But I wanted to commend the powerful woman that has served Willingboro faithfully for the last, I lived in Willingboro for 40 years. And there are several women I want to highlight because they just have done awesome jobs for Willingboro. And before I forget, I want to highlight Dr. Worthy, Mrs. Foster, and Miss Blygen. They served our country faithfully. We don't, especially now that they're trying to diminish the accomplishments or the work of our veterans. I want to say kudos to them. And I know there are more, but especially these three I want to highlight. Now I want to highlight Mayor Whitfield. First met her 2016 at her health fair in Burlington, and she represented the Y at her health fair, did an awesome job, and I've watched her work faithfully for Burlington, for Willingboro, and now just 9 years later, she's our mayor. Kudos to her. Hard work got her here. So special mention to Mayor Whitfield, Deputy Mayor Worthy, Councilwoman McIntosh, Councilwoman Perone, Dr. Saluki from NAMI, Ms. Foster, Senior Services, Veteran Services, Mrs. Bell, who under the administration of the ex-mayor, Mayor Worthy, initiated the first Juneteenth Day. What a wonderful affair that was. So kudos to them. Barbara Basuka, who worked for our township, she's now retired, but she did an awesome job. Miss Jackson, the photographer, kudos to her. Marilyn Braden, the late Marilyn Braden, she was my friend. Wonderful realtor she was. When she died, it broke my heart because I didn't know. And when I finally caught up with her husband, I found out that she was already buried. So I want to just remember her. Miss Blygen, of course. Officer Landrum, wonderful officer, police officer, and community advocate. Also Officer Jackson, Reverend Geralda. She is the pastor of our host church, St. Paul's United Methodist Church. We're Seventh-day Adventists, but she is an outstanding lady. She has a heart of gold. She's beautiful inside and out, and she believes in service. I wanted to mention her. Also,
Ms.
Rachel.
Lee, your time is up.
Already? Oh, I'm so sorry.
No.
Oh my.
Thank you, Ms. Williams, for your comments.
You're welcome.
All right, Maddie Mallory.
Good evening, Maddie Mallory, Hudson Place. And I too am concerned about the assessments that are taking place in our town because we already know that we're going to have an increase in our taxes because of the passing of the referendums. And of course, this too will add on to the taxes. And the other thing that concerns me is that last quarter, my water bill was $158.83. And this quarter, my water bill was $169.79. And that's an increase of $10.96. And if we're selling water to other towns, I can't understand why our water bill keeps increasing. And of course, you know, this is taking place constantly. It's not just something that just happened, but it appears that the water bill is constantly going up. The other thing is that this evening at approximately 6 o'clock, I was on my way home on Charleston Road, and there were approximately 5 or maybe 6 police cars on Charleston Road near Hawthorne Lane. And I'm just wondering, you know, if as a citizen, if I can find out, you know, what was going on with that. There's also an issue across from Foster Military on Charleston Road. It appears that someone has started to dump trash in that area across from Foster Military. It looks like a tire and maybe a plastic bag, and I'm not sure what else is there. But I hope that Public Works or someone will check that out and, you know, just, I don't know what the solution is as to why people take the privilege of just dumping trash anywhere. And on that note, those are my comments for this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Mallory. Any other public comment?
Yes, Mayor. Tarina Williams.
Good evening, Ms. Williams.
Good evening, Mayor Whitfield, Deputy Mayor, Dr. Tiffany Worthy, Councilman Anderson, Councilwoman McIntosh, and Councilwoman Perone, Township Manager Harris, and Township Clerk, and fellow residents of Willingboro community. Former resident of 8 Botany Circle, but still my heart is in Willingboro. I'm grateful for this opportunity to say quite a few things. Today is today is Social Workers Day, so I want to extend a happy Social Workers Day to all the men and women who serve as social workers, meeting the needs of so many people. May God richly bless you for all your hard work. Then I wanted to inform everyone that on March 26th, it's Purple Day. Purple, you wonder what's Purple Day? Purple is when we're asked to wear purple in honor of people who have epilepsy, which 1 in 100 people are estimated to have epilepsy. Epilepsy is a neurological disorder that too often than not is unnoticed, but if you go on purpleday.org, you'll be able to get more information. This was initiated by a 9-year-old girl named Cassidy Megan, in Canada. And if we want change, we should initiate change. So God bless her for taking that stand for people who have epilepsy, and may we all take the time to support. March, as you know, is Women's History Month. So in addition to my mom's affirmations to so many hardworking and loving, dedicated women, I just want to add a couple more. Ms. Gwen Calder Lang, who works for the inspection department. She's one of the most hardworking women I have ever met, and I want to say God bless you for all your hard work. I want to extend special thanks to all the teachers, crossing guards, EMS, firefighters, secretaries who do so much in the background, but are greatly, greatly appreciated for all the hard work that they do. God bless you. Miss Charlene Archer of the Beloved Project. She's another dedicated woman, a light in the community, not just here in Willingboro, but in Burlington and so many other townships. I'm sure you as a council, all of you know her individually and collectively. God bless her for all the hard work that she does. Willingboro SDA Church had the pleasure of collaborating with her, and it was an honor to help work together as we did the MLK Day. I see my time is fastly going. Miss Bertha Walker of the 12th of Never Foundation. She's another light to the community, and she has a group that takes place at, I believe it's Christ Baptist Church, and the next cancer support group is on March 27th. So please look into that. That's in Burlington. You may know someone, or your friend or sister or your spouse may have cancer, and each one can reach one. Trisha Yeo, another hardworking woman of the Food Bank of South Jersey. She's another light in the community, and I greatly appreciate her for her hard work and our friendship. It's wonderful whenever we get to work together. I hope I'm not missing anyone. I just want to extend all to women of Willingboro Township. Thank you so much for all the hard work that you do, your time, dedication, and you're one of the reasons why we keep Willingboro strong. Oh, I wanted to make a suggestion. In addition to what Dr. Worthy was asking about, maybe I could throw this in. I've always felt that it would be great if we have a career day, something that can be done in the summer, especially for people who don't get that pleasure to go to Florida, Jamaica, and the list goes on. It would be an opportunity for young people to talk together as well as find out more about their aspiring career and be reminded how
Ms.
God has
Williams, time is up.
here's what you need to know to do this. Thanks so much for your time. God bless.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Are there any other public comments?
Not at this time, Mayor.
Seeing none, public comment is now closed. Now to adjust the public comments. First, we had one from Miss Mary Jane talking about the Black Family Wellness event at JFK. Mr. Harris.
So I will apologize to Miss Mary Green, regarding the program and how it made her feel. I don't believe it was the intention to, um, exclude anyone. I'm not really sure the origin of that program. I believe it wasn't our,
It wasn't.
it was a vendor who sponsored the program and was not a township program. Um, but we need to be, more cognizant of those types of events, that may have the impression of being exclusionary, because that is absolutely not what we are about here in Willingboro.
Yes. Dr. Worthy?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I did just want to add that the Lynx is an international not-for-profit corporation established in 1946. It is one of the nation's oldest and largest volunteer service organizations and committed to enriching, sustaining, and ensuring the culture and economic survival of African Americans and other people of African ancestry. They're not an exclusive organization, but the mission of the nonprofit itself is really focused on economic survival of African Americans and people of African ancestry. But it was not at all meant or intended to be an exclusive event. But the Lynx did sponsor the event, and the township partnered with them on that. But of course, it was never our intentions that anyone feel excluded. So thank you for sharing, how that event made you feel, so that we can consider, how we can frame programs that come to the town. Thank you.
No. No, I appreciate it. But it is a concern. We do need to consider all of our residents within the township, and I appreciate you bringing that concern to public comment. Also, Miss Mary Jane did also comment on the extended school year and the mandate that portion of the school year be delivered. So as we work with the school board and at that stakeholder meeting, we'll discuss what the mandates are, the different mandates are in delivering extended school year and other summer programming to students, and how we can all work together to make sure that that happens despite the construction that will be happening over the summer. Ms. Lindsay Harvey expressed some concern over the tax assessor, but also her questions were about the rain garden at the JFK Center and the maintenance of that.
Yes, so when it comes to the tax assessment, I don't want the residents to feel like this is an arbitrary thing that we are just doing. We are required by the state to reassess properties every now and again. And unfortunately, some of those reassessments may have impact negatively on property owners. However, we are nonetheless responsible to do what we have to do. So our hope is that it works out favorably. I don't know if person's property taxes are going to double, but there is a possibility that some will increase. There is a possibility that some will decrease, and there's a possibility that some will remain constant. However, we do have an obligation to fulfill our requirements under the law, and we will do all that we need to do that in a very fair and equitable process. In regards to the rain garden, I am not, I agree with Miss Lindsay Harvey with the rain garden. When we entered into that agreement with Rutgers, it was a duality that Rutgers was supposed to come back and work with the township to maintain those rain gardens for the first year, and then we would kind of take ownership thereafter. I do not believe that Rutgers has been back since the rain gardens were installed to even work with us to maintain the rain gardens. I understand they accumulate a lot of leaves, but they were built underneath a lot of trees. So I don't know what the expectation is, but DPW is not going to JFK Center to remove leaves from the rain garden on a weekly basis. However, We will spend more time and attention and give more attention to that as we are passing by. And if they need some attention, we will give it appropriate attention.
All right. Miss Julia Shields had a question about the trash.
So again, Ms. Shields brings out DeShields, I'm sorry, brings out some very good points. I am a big proponent of keeping Willingboro clean. This is something that annoys me to my core as I drive down the street and I see litter and trash all in our community. But there's something that Ms. DeShields says was very important, and it was a word that she used. She said, "we." And we as a community have to make a commitment to keep our community clean and in order. I think it is unrealistic expectation for the township to just clean up, and continue to clean up when persons are not willing to do their part to keep the community clean. So, Mr. Shields, I appreciate your efforts and energy, and I assure you that you have our commitment to work with you in that effort. But my hope is that all of Willingboro will adopt a policy that we want to keep our community pristine and do all of the things that are necessary to do that.
Mr. Harris, there also was some question about inspections and warnings for open trash lids and other things that promote the trash blowing around.
So, Mr. Tunstall, who is in the audience, has heard the comments, and he knows that we will be having a discussion about that come tomorrow.
All right, great, thank you. Ms. Turner, thank you for the update on your situation. It is terribly unfortunate, and I'll tell you that Levitt has done a number when constructing our fine town here. 100 feet to the sewer lateral is an exorbitant amount of space and a length for any one resident to be expected to maintain, especially as it crosses property lines. But I'm sure Ms. Lindsay Harvey and the MUA are doing the best that they can in helping you with that situation. And I appreciate the update, and please continue to keep us updated on it. Oh, you also had another question about ownership of the land. And Mr. Harris, were you clear on that question? I think the question was, do the homeowners own the land that their property sits on?
I did grasp that question, and I'm not going to answer that question because I don't have the answer to that question. We purchase property, so I'm assuming we take title to the property, but I don't.
Yeah. Okay, so I think, Ms. Turner, it'd be safe to say that we need to follow up on that question with you and get you an accurate answer for that ownership question. Ms. Acosta, you had some concerns. Thank you for your letter and your concerns regarding some of the inspections, permits, and side setbacks. I am seeing the pictures that you submitted, and I can see how you feel it's intrusive on your home and bedrooms in your home. Yeah, it's the packet has been given to our inspections director, and he's in the back, and they will be investigating further. Our zoning officer does provide feedback for zoning and ordinance amendments, and I'm sure there'll be a review, and any suggestions will come to council for review as we move forward. But thank you for bringing this to our attention. Miss Mallory, I have captured your concern about the assessments Any question about your water bill? I know periodically water bills may fluctuate based on our usage. So I'm not sure why your bill went up $10 over the past month, but I will direct you to the MUA to see if there were any changes for that. Also, for Mr. Harris, the issue of dumping across from Foster's, if you could manage that. And there also was a question about some police activity at Charleston Road near Hawthorne Lane.
Good evening, City Council.
Good evening.
Patrols responded to Charleston Road around 5 o'clock this evening for domestic violence incident. It was handled and there's no threat to the public.
All right.
So, good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. And then lastly, we had the Williams family, Beulah and Tarina Williams. Thank you for all of your acknowledgement of the wonderful women that do tremendous work here in our township. And also thank you, Tarina, Miss Williams, for the reminder for Purple Day for epilepsy on March 26th. We enjoy when you share all of those special remembrance days, and it helps keep our community informed on the different causes that happen throughout our month. So thank you for that. Is there anything I missed, Council? All right, with that being said, we will move along to council comments.
Just want to start off by saying good evening, everyone. Thank you for participating, whether you're in person or watching it via Zoom. Ms. Tarina Williams just gave me a text for clarification. She stated that it was 100 people that had epilepsy when it's actually 1 in 100. So I just wanted to give that clarification. Did I do good, Ms. Williams? Thank you. Next, I just want to thank Ms. Treadway for the stormwater presentation. Dr. Worthy for the great suggestion, partnering with the schools, looking at what it would look like. Councilwoman Perrone discussed, suggesting we do a roundtable, which I think it would be a good suggestion, a good idea, actually. And finally, I could not leave this meeting without thanking Ms. Tanya Jackson. So if y'all got your calendars, did you see the guy in the middle? She had me looking so handsome. I just couldn't keep it to myself. But thank you again, Ms. Jackson. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Councilman Anderson. Anyone else?
I just have a quick thing.
Councilwoman McIntosh?
I'll let it settle down. I just want to give a huge shout out to our police force for their work last week or is it last week? For the young lady that was missing. Obviously their precision and tact is phenomenal as always. So I'm not surprised, but I always want to just show gratitude when, they exercise the highest precision. And I'm very proud of our force. On top of that, though, I really am very impressed with our community that came together. We got calls. I mean, people were trying to come together. We're going to comb the streets for this young lady. It was one of the times that I am proud to be a Willingboro person, representative of Willingboro. Again, I grew up here and you see that, very often, but this one was one that did touch my heart, that people were really concerned about a child that wasn't theirs, and were willing to do the work and put in the effort for that week. So I have to say Willingboro made me very proud this week. And that's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman McIntosh. Councilwoman Pearl?
I just echo Councilwoman McIntosh's statements. I concur with her statements as well. I thought the police department did a phenomenal job, and that's all I have for this evening, really.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman Pearl. Deputy Mayor Worthy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to say thank you for everyone who showed up for the Starbucks grand opening. It was nice seeing so many community members come out. We had a resident who jumped in a picture. I think she said she's been living here like 53 years or something like that. So it was nice to see her out as well. I echo the sentiments about the community coming together to find the young lady. I was at ATAP Foundation, and it was a group of high school guys who came running like towards the building. I have all glass windows, and they're like running, and they've got her picture, and they're holding it up. And so we opened up the door, we put the pictures up, we gave flyers to the kids, we gave them water because it was hot that day. And they were just going through the neighborhood, just trying to get some energy and making sure they got the flyers out. And so what a positive response, you know, to have her come back safely. I also wanted to remind the residents about the election results, where the 8.7% of Willingboro residents participated in the last election. Of 26,778 possible votes to be cast, there's 26,778 votes possible. Willingboro showed up at 2,329 people. And so the reason I think this is so important is because we keep getting phone calls, mean text messages, crazy stuff on social media about what's going on. And your vote is your voice. Your vote is your voice. And so the people who came and showed up, these are the results. And so now I challenge Willingboro on June 10th to do better so that we show up and show out for this huge primary election that's coming up on June 10th. Cast your votes. Make sure you do either mail-in, early voting, come out on election day. We have a huge election, local level, state level. It's a huge election, and I think that we can definitely do better than 8.7%. So I implore everyone to get involved. Tell your neighbors, tell your friends, tell the people you don't like, everybody to come out and to vote. Lastly, I do want to share that All Things Are Possible Foundation does have scholarships available for high school seniors. If you know a graduating high school senior who goes to school in Burlington County, anywhere in Burlington County, we do have scholarships available. We do this every year. All they have to do is go to atapfoundation.org. It comes up on the front page, click. It's a very easy application process, but I can't give money away if the students don't apply. So we have reached out to local high schools, but we're trying to get the students to get encouraged and incentivized to apply. We want to give the money away. We've worked hard to raise it, but if the students don't apply, we can't give it away. So if you know a high school senior who's interested in expanding their education or even going straight to work after high school, it's an opportunity for them to apply for a scholarship from ATAP Foundation. And that's all I have. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Oh, wait, one more thing. I'm sorry. The International Women's Day event. Were you going to do that one?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
You can- go ahead.
So I do want to give a huge shout out to the library. Thank you to our board chairwoman who's here, Miss Lindsay Harvey. She and her library director and team pulled together a beautiful event for International Women's Day. It was Saturday, March 8th at the library, catered event, very nice, a panel, and the room was packed. And when Ms. Doe Williams said she wanted to do it, I was excited for her to do it. Didn't know how I was going to go because we hadn't done it previously, but it was a great turnout, and it was a wonderful discussion amongst women in the community to celebrate International Women's Day. So thank you, Ms. Lindsay Harvey, and to Ms. Doe Williams for her vision for that event and working through whatever challenges. I'm sure it took a level of effort to get it done, but thank you so much for that. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. All right. Well, we've had a lot said tonight. I do want to just remind the community that we are one Willingboro. There are so many issues and topics to discuss as a community, and this is one of your forums to discuss some of those topics. We've had a number of things presented here tonight. What we would like to do with our stormwater utility, the future of this summer with the school buildings being closed for renovation and the summer school programs. We talked about other events and programs that are coming up around the municipality. But it is going to take all of us to decide what the next steps are and how we move forward. So all of our council members are accessible. Please feel free to reach out to us, share your thoughts, even if it's not at public comment, because we are representative of you. So we depend on your voices, your input, to help make the right decisions for Willingboro. Also, I just want to echo some of the sentiments that Deputy Mayor Worthy had made about the election turnout. Not only was that a critical decision for our town, but also the participation in elections also impacts our ability to advocate for our town on a state and a county level. So higher voter turnouts gives us more power, more voice, more agency to advocate for the needs and resources that are here in Willingboro. So I encourage everyone, and I jump on that challenge to Willingboro residents, those 26,000 plus registered voters. Please come out June 10th and really show and demonstrate the voting power that Willingboro has. Every vote counts. Every vote can be funding for our JFK Center or a track project or a road improvement program or a stormwater utility. So we really need that that participation to help us advocate on higher levels. Also, if you missed the International Women's Day event, please make sure you come out to the Phenomenal Women's Awards. That's going to take place on April 27th. We look forward to the opportunity to acknowledge and congratulate, celebrate phenomenal women within our community. And finally, continue to take care of each other, Willingboro. We saw great showings of community and togetherness as we made sure that our missing youth got home safely. Even on tonight's meeting, we had some concern over police activities. So I'm glad if you'd like to stay abreast of things like that. Our neighborhood watch is up and open. They're always accepting members, and their next meeting is Thursday, March 20th. You can also stay connected by joining the Willingboro Connect app and subscribing to the Willingboro Weekly. I think that's all I have for tonight. Thank you everyone for coming, and we will have executive session tonight. Madam Clerk?
All right, so for our executive session tonight, we have a resolution authorizing a closed executive session in accordance with the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Act. This executive session is going to be for personnel matters and contract negotiations. May I get a motion in a second to pass Resolution 2025-88?
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman McIntosh, seconded by Deputy Mayor Worthy.
Councilman Anderson? Councilwoman McIntosh?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Dr. Worthy?
Yes.
Mayor Whitfield?
Yes.
Thank you.
And if you would, IT, please put up that we will be in executive session. We may have a decision when we return.
All right, no problem.
Thank you.
Yeah. Can I get a motion and a second to come out of executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Worthy, seconded by Councilwoman Perone. Roll call.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilman Anderson is not here. Councilwoman McIntosh,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
Can I get a motion and second to extend the meeting?
So moved.
Second. Moved by Deputy Mayor Worthy, seconded by Mayor Whitfield. Roll call.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman McIntosh.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Dr. Worthy.
Yes.
Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
Thank you. We do have one resolution to present after coming out of executive session. This resolution will be 2025-89. It is titled Resolution Concerning the Township Manager. The Township Manager shall be granted a temporary residency waiver of up to 365 days effective immediately. Can I get a motion in a second?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Worthy, seconded by Councilwoman Perone. Roll call.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman McIntosh,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Dr. Worthy.
Yes.
Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
Thank you. Now therefore be it resolved, the township manager shall be granted a temporary residency waiver of up to 365 days effective immediately by the council. Okay, and it was seconded by Dr. Worthy and, no, it was motion by Dr. Worthy and seconded by Councilwoman Perone.
Right.
Can I get a motion? What?
We need a motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Worthy, seconded by, did we vote?
We voted. Did we
vote on Okay.
For German.
Yeah,
We've already voted on what.
we voted
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
Okay. Seconded by Councilwoman Perone.
Right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night, Willingboro.
The time is now 10:43.